Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Filohoyani. There is a storm brewing in a teacup. There's a storm in a teacup brewing between the state president and General Masemola. And if this is not nipped in the bud, it might have some very serious consequences. It all boils down to or is about the 121 case dockets that were seized from the political killings task team by General Shadrach Sibia, acting on the instructions of the suspended Minister of Police, Senzo Mkhunu. These 121 dockets were seized by General Sibia, according to General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and they were left to lie in Pretoria, possibly unattended. So this raised quite a furore around the seizure, and a decision has now been made by General Masemola that those dockets, which originated from KZN, be returned to KZN. So as we speak, those dockets are possibly in KZN or on their way to KZN. Now, the state president is reported to be very unhappy about this. And it is not only the state president who is very unhappy about this, but it is also the new Minister of Police, the acting Minister of Police, Cachalia, who has replaced the suspended Senzo Mkhunu. Both the minister and the state president are very unhappy about the decision that General Masemola has made to have those 121 dockets returned to KZN. Now, the question that one can ask himself is this. Those dockets originated from KZN. They were irregularly and perhaps even unlawfully seized from the political killings task team. That is what that press conference by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was all about. So having been irregularly seized from the political killings task team, General Shadrach Sibia then took them to his offices in Pretoria, where they lay there and gathered dust. Now, let us look at this issue this way. It is now common cause. Let me use a little bit of legalese there. It is now common cause that, those dockets have been seized illegally and taken to Pretoria lawfully. And the only rightful thing that General Masemola would have done under the circumstances was to return those dockets back to KZN, where they'd been unlawfully removed. That is something that I must emphasize very strongly. Where they'd been unlawfully removed. So there should be nothing wrong with taking those same case dockets back to where they belong. So what is this fight now between, on the one hand, the state president and the minister, the acting Minister of Police, Cachalia, and General Masemola? What has General Masemola done wrong here? And in all this, as all this plays itself out, we see factions emerging. This is why I'm saying this sort of thing has got very serious implications. Might look like a storm in a teacup for now, but it has the potential of rippling out into something much, much bigger. it can easily mutate into something much, much bigger. Now, we are seeing, factions emerge. On the one hand, there is Minister Cachalia and the state president. And on the other hand, there is the Commissioner of Police, Masemola, and General Nhlanhla. And this, is a very serious development because, the Minister of Police, for one, is not in support of what General Nhlanhla did by way of making that exposure in a press conference. He has voiced his, discomfort with that. How else General Nhlanhla was supposed to expose that corruption internally, leaves one wondering, because internal structures of the South African police services had simply collapsed. And why is the state president and Minister Cachalia saying that these dockets ought to have been, taken straight to the commission? That does not make sense at all. Does not make sense at all. How does the commission come into, possession of such evidence? This commission is supposed to unearth evidence by way of people coming before it to adduce evidence. It will not go about collecting evidence prior to its first sitting, so that when it sits, it is now in possession of some 121 case dockets before it even actually listens to formal evidence relating to those dockets. That would be procedurally, out of order, because the commission cannot be in possession of evidence, which can, be prejudicial to some of the people that are going to appear before it, and not bring an open mind to the determination of, their involvement in some of these issues, because it would have had prior knowledge and access to this kind of information and evidence. So why is this fight between, on the one hand, the state president and Minister Cachalia and General Masemola taking us? We are certainly seeing divisions, even as we try and move forward to the Matanga Commission. We are now seeing this rift between these two camps. And for as long as that friction exists, as long as there's that element of distrust, that trust deficit between those key role players, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult to, reconfigure our criminal justice system. So this is an issue that had better be resolved sooner than later. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video, and let me thank you for the likes and subscriptions that I'm seeing coming through, and have a nice afternoon and evening. Thank you.